So Forbes has the story. Yes, Snow White is bombing at the box office. It is one of the lowest rated films on IMDb. And in a crazy turn of events, Rachel Zegler is getting roasted by the son of the producer of the film because he had to fly to New York City to reprimand her because she's burning the film to the ground, and they need the money. So he wrote this long response. Someone said, your dad flew to NYC to reprimand a young actress. Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech, shame on your father. And I said, you really want to do this? Yeah, my dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which he signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, and her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked in that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged.
Well, you hired her, man, or your dad hired her.
I agreed.
It's like,
when you look at her tweets, it's like, was it a secret?
yeah, you knew what you were getting.
Yep, and they deserve it. They thought this was popular.
Yeah.
They thought she represented young people and they'd want to see it, and they were wrong. So get woke, go broke. I hope the $600 million loss was worth it.
There's something about this that I think goes beyond like the woke stuff, right, as well. Because like my wife loves Disney films, right? She, in a sort of mythological, romantic way. My wife thinks of Disney films the way I think of the Iliad. These to her are like character-forming movies because of the value setting function that they have. They tell this big mystical fairy tale where there's a perfect world and a perfect story that always plays to the end. And I think that there are people who are genuinely emotionally traumatized by what they're doing to these films, because I took my son to his boxing lesson the other day, right? And we ride our bikes down to this boxing lesson. On the way back, we go past a bus stop, and in this bus stop is a Snow White advert, but someone has vandalized it. But it's literally sprayed, painted onto it, boycott. And it's like,
wow.
Right, is that some guy from 4chan who's got, he's not going to do that. Like, or is that someone who was like my wife? Like, like a mother who's really pissed off about Snow White is being perverted and degraded by Disney as a company. Like, I don't know who did it, but it's just in the middle of like a town in England.
Wow.
Someone is so pissed off about this. They went and vandalized the bus. I've never seen that.
I didn't boycott Snow White. I just didn't want to see it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Right. It's just no interest to me at all. But it doesn't hold a kind of romantic position in my heart. Whereas for a lot of young women, I think it does.
It also, these newer remakes of older films, it doesn't feel like they're after the same kind of value setting. It really seems virtue signaling and shallow. It doesn't have the same kind of weight underneath.
Also, money.
Let's take a look at what Snow White was. You get this Rachel Zegler doing press where she's mocking Snow White, the movie itself, saying a guy basically stalks her and then she marries him. Like, kind of creepy, right? She's not trying to find her prince. She's trying to be the leader she knows she can be. And you guys know the story of Snow White?
Yeah, vaguely.
It is the least inspiring hero's story ever told. It's not a hero story. Snow White is a victim the whole time.
Yeah.
Literally, the main character is just the victim of a story of a fumbling, bumbling queen who kills herself. So the story for Snow White, simply put, Snow White's parents are dead. She's a maid. She's the princess. The evil queen is like, haha, oh no, Snow White's coming of age and she's going to be prettier than me. I'm going to hire a guy to kill her. The guy brings her in the woods and says, I can't do it. Get out of here. She runs into the woods. The animals dance and sing. She finds a dwarf's house, cleans it up, becomes their maid, still a maid. They all dance and sing. The queen finds out she didn't die, so she poisons an apple, sneaks by, tricks her into eating it. Snow White passes out. Then the queen goes on top of a mountain to try and push a boulder, gets struck by lightning and dies. And then the prince finds Snow White, kisses her, and she wakes up and they're happily ever after.
Yeah.
Snow White did not save anybody. Snow White literally did nothing the whole movie.
But you're looking at this through the lens of a man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but what my point is, Rachel Zegler said, no, she's the hero of the story. She unifies the bandits. She saves the guy from the dungeon and then calls out the queen and restores the kingdom. That's not what Snow White was.
Yeah.
Snow White was just some chick who's being chased around and then passed out.
And I love you saying that, no one wants to see a story about like a guy chasing the girl. It's like, sorry, no, that's all of female romance.
Yeah.
That's Twilight. That's
100%.
50 Shades of Grey.
Twilight actually was 2 guys.
Yeah, right. That's literally Snow White. It's literally all of female romance. That's the female hero.
Oh
story.
yeah. What about what's her face with the long hair?
Well, that's because
There's a million of them, right?
The guy goes and he's like,
Rapunzel,
"Put on your hair. I want to come bang you."
That's the woman's story. Is that the guy pursues her because she's so important.
yeah.
Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Pajot had a really good breakdown of what the original story is about, with like the older woman seeing a younger beauty, and at first, because is that the one, or is it Sleeping Beauty where she gives her a mirror?
Well, there's the mirror on the wall that tells the queen that you're good looking, but sleeping.
But it's a similar trope.
No,
where
wasn't Sleeping Beauty like she gets cursed to sleep at a certain age?
Remember. I'm not.
But
There's. I didn't watch these things. Right? I was watching Thundercats, man.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah, like all these stories are like the prince comes and kisses her, and then she wakes up.
Right, and that's fine. That's I'm not heartbroken that they've perverted it, but I can see why a lot of people are.
But this is the thing, right? Like, there's this meme about the male power fantasy, and the meme they use is Spider-Man. He's got the busload of children and Mary Jane. He's holding them both, and then Green Goblin is like, "Who will it be, Spider-Man, Mary Jane, or suffer the children?" And then he saves them both.
Yeah.
He actually saves everybody, and he's like, "No!" And then he defeats the bad guy. That's the male power fantasy.
You got a great Green Goblin voice.
Oh, I was wrong before. And then the female power fantasy is that all the guys want you no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in Twilight, Bella, like doesn't that mean pretty or something? Beautiful.
It means beautiful in Italian.
It's literally her name, and there's a vampire, and he saves her from getting hit by a car, and he's like, "You're just so pretty, I have to have you." And then the werewolf is like, "No, I have to have her. Now we fight." And that's Twilight.
with shirts being taken off.
I mean,
Right,
that speaks to what women have an inherent value, and that is the fact that they can make more people, and men have to go out into the world and do something to prove that they are of value. And that's every single story, whether it be about women or about men. The hero's journey is the man's activity. Women's value in society is they're desired by men because they are where they hold the key to more humans.
Notice how the in the women's story the sort of question is she truly as intrinsically desirable as she was hoping she would be? And the man proves that she is through the labors that he goes through.
Bro.
So there's a symbiosis in the stories as well.
Do you actually know what Twilight's about? Like in all honesty, have you ever seen it?
Well, I mean, I've heard about it. I've not watched it.
It's literally that Bella has something within her that all of the vampires want.
Well, there we go.
And they're like, they look at her and they're like, oh, and they're like shaking.
Yeah.
Like she just stands there and she's like, they want her.
Yeah. So, but
Pheromones,
that's the combination. That's how male and female stories interact, as you were saying, man.
I got to read the super chat in this segment because it's a fair point. Shaker Silver says, "You're undervaluing Snow White's heroism. The hunters spared her from seeing her kindness and helping animals. She tames the unruly dwarves who take on the evil queen. It's a tale of heroic femininity."
Yeah.
Actually. She cleans their house and gets these scummy dwarves in order and gets their life together.
But that's
Respect.
But that's the woman's role traditionally in society, isn't it? It's to order the domestic sphere.
Yeah.
And
Because men will sit around in piles of their
men
own
are
refuse.
barbarians. Men are literally
Absolutely.
barbarians. I was when I was a single man. I was a total barbarian.
you
were. We all were, right?
So it's actually pretty funny because I was hanging out with my wife where I can't remember what she's watching. Probably Married to Strangers. Women love that show. You know that one?
I haven't seen it.
Love at First Sight, 90 Day Fiance, whatever. It's like women just love.
Yeah.
And we were talking about something, and I can't remember what happened in the news. And then I made a comment like, well, that's why women are crazy. That's what they say. And then she was like, men are crazy. And then I laughed and I was like, oh yeah. And then I looked out the window and Mike was skating, Special Mike, one of our writers. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Actually, guys are nuts. Like, the guys here are jumping off buildings and like Mike smacked himself in the face and had to get stitches. And I'm like, that's actually true. Men and women are both crazy for different reasons.
My wife's favorite hobby is finding me just a video of a guy doing something retarded. Where it's like, like some guy's like jumping off a roof into a swimming pool or something. And it's like, why do men do this? I'm like, It's hard to explain.
There is a reason, though.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
It's kind of badass.
It's the search for glory, right? That's actually what it is.
Right,
It's
right.
glorious,
Right.
right? If you
Right.
pull it off, then you're incredible. And if you
No.
don't, you've broken something and it's going to really hurt.
You could say the same thing. Men don't ever take pictures like this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
There's a video I saw of a guy doing parkour, and he's on a building probably 15 feet tall. This is nuts. He jumps a 30-foot gap, and there's an I-beam, and he kicks it and then backflips, lands on the ground in front of like 30 other guys who all start screaming and cheering.
Yeah.
And then in the video, he's like, I pulled it off, the world record for whatever this move is called. And then the next clip is him showing his broken ankle. He was like, this was the result. It's purple and swollen. And I was thinking about it because as skateboarders, you land the trick, you ride away uninjured. Maybe the board breaks, you ride away, you're fine. But for a lot of these guys that are jumping off buildings doing parkour, they land it, but literally break their ankles and get injured in the process.
There was one the other day where some British parkour guy was climbing a bridge in Spain. He's like 150 feet up, just falls off, and that's him dead.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, well,
Guys are nuts.
yeah.
was it Danny Way jumped the Great Wall of China on a skateboard? Sprained his ankles, went back and did it again because it was so awesome.
Yeah,
Just wrapped himself up.
also, Danny Way is the dude who at the X Games went on the mega ramp, which is a 70-foot gap going 50 miles an hour, a 20-foot tall vert wall launching him 28 feet on top. So he's 50 feet in the air. He comes down and his ankles hit the top of the ramp and he front flips, slams on the ground, gets carted out injured, broken. I think he broke his foot. Goes back up, does it again, and successfully lands.
Yeah, that was Jake Brown at the X Games. But yeah, he pretty much fell off of a building. You're thinking of Danny Way?
Danny Way clipped his ankles on the edge of the quarter pipe and front flipped.
Okay, do you remember the one where Jake Brown slammed a flat?
Jake Brown launched off the wall, ejecting off it, fell 48 feet, lacerated his liver and busted his stuff. He didn't come back, though.
No, but he still walked off.
He walked off.
It's like, they're not skateboarders. These guys are stuntmen. The dudes that are doing that type of stuff, that's ungodly.
The Danny Way one was when he was coming back down off a 540 and his ankles hit.
Oh, yeah.
He goes forward.
Jesus.
He flips over and everyone's like, I think that might have been the same time as Jake Brown. It might have been the same event. He flips over and slams and slides down, gets up, goes back up, does it again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone's like, and then apparently he said like, yeah, my foot was broken, but I had to do it.
Well, there's something cool about it, man. It's just badass. You know?
I've interviewed Danny Way and Paul Check, who's his trainer, after they had to rehabilitate him, and you could just sense he was just like, yeah, my body will get better, but I'll get back to it. There's something just different in the wiring.
Well, you have to be, dude. You have to be a little crazy.
I
Yeah.
would imagine.
I think I have the video. Oh yeah, dude. Let's play it. Let's play it. What do we got here? We got a backflip.
Backflip, rocket air, he's got it. He recovered.
Goes for a 540.
Balance 540.
Oh, my God.
He hit his ankles on the coping and front flip to the ground. God. Dude. Yo, he gets back up and he goes and does it again.
Oh, my God.
Hard.
Here's another angle
These
of
guys
it.
train as hard as
So,
they do
when I was
day
talking to
in,
my wife
day
and
out.
we were like,
These
women are
guys
crazy. She was like,
hardest
guys are
thing
crazy.
represent.
I thought for a
Stuntmen.
second and like, Mike just went to the hospital for bashing his face. I'm like, yeah, she's right.
Yeah, she is.
Have you heard of the theory? Kurt Doolittle talks about this, where there's the masculine neurology and the feminine neurology that evolved over time, and he even says that the left comes from the feminine neurology, the right comes from the masculine. But the masculine neurology, it's positive forces being able to protect, it's negative forces, violence. The feminine neurology, it's positive force is nurturing, its negative force is coercion, because like for the feminine, it's typically smaller. That's how it has to kind of do what it does. So back to the Snow White thing, that is pretty interesting that, from that lens, what she has to do to kind of like arrive at that kind of ending of the film, it kind of follows that train of the feminine neurology.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.